Hey, what's going on? This is Cam Kirk from Cam Kirk Studios and the Cam Kirk Foundation, and you're tuned into Rolling Out.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rolling Out. I'm Rashad Milligan. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, a legend in the building, Atlanta's very own Mr. Cam Kirk. Mr. Cam Kirk, how you doing, sir?
And I'm blessed, man. I'm so happy to be here with you, had this conversation. I appreciate your time.
Oh, no. Likewise for you. And Cam, just to pull the curtain back, he waited for me a couple minutes. I was running a couple minutes behind, had my phone in the other room. I was like, it's 3:30. I gotta go. And he was still on here waiting for me. A lot of people especially when they get the Cam level, especially when they get you have the iconic images of Gucci and all this. And when you document history for so long, they like, oh man, I don't have time. But anyway,
I'm used to waiting, man. You just said it, man. I'm used to waiting all the time. I've waited 4 or 5 hours for some of these artists at times. So my patience is really strong. My patience is really strong.
Well, Cam, we appreciate you being patient with us today so much. Just leading off, the reason why you're here, MLK Day, this week and everything like that, the holiday season is here. For the past couple months, the Cam Kirk Foundation has been doing some phenomenal work around the city and just in the community. What are some more details on what you guys have been doing the past couple months?
Yeah, so this year we're gearing up for our 4th annual Yesterday's Tomorrow conference. It's a conference that I created in honor of Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's my way of gathering my resources, gathering some friends, my network, and really doing a big effort to make sure we do something for his legacy that impacts our community. I was challenged a few years ago by a young lady that I look up to in the industry, and she kind of checked me, but like, why doesn't your generation do much to celebrate Martin Luther King? Like, his day comes and goes. You all don't get together. You all don't really make a big impact. I mean, you're here in Atlanta. I'm a Morehouse grad. Went to the same school, and it's like, yeah, you're right. Why don't we do something? Why isn't there an actionable thing that takes place on his day? And I kind of took that challenge and I created the Yesterday's Tomorrow conference. So what makes it really special and something that means a lot to me is in order to attend our conference, it's absolutely free, but you have to volunteer alongside of us at one of our community service events. I think that's what really makes it unique and special, because you get to really see how passionate young entrepreneurs, young business minds, young creatives are about their work and how they're willing to give to their community and empower their community in order to receive some gems or some wisdom. So I love the fact that, it doesn't require you to just go on your checkbook or you swipe a credit card, but it does require you to give a little bit to your community, get out and touch people, see people, give back to your community. And in exchange, me and my friends and my network, we're going to give and pour all that we know, as much as we know, into you. So I love that actionable side of the conference. I think that's what makes it unique and makes it really inspiring.
At what age did you really get? I mean, I know, like you said, you had a friend come up to you a few years ago, kind of confront you, check you, and then that's what led to kind of this present day. But at what age growing up was that, like, giving back is a priority? I always have to make sure that I, think about others as I come up as well.
Yeah, I think just the way I was raised from my parents, they've always been servants of others in everything they do. My dad was in the military 30 plus years, gave his life and was willing to sacrifice his life, for others, just in that vein. Watching him go to Iraq, 2 years of my life growing up was pretty significant. My mom also worked as a credit coach and a credit consultant for quite some time, really focusing her energy and dedicating a lot of her time to educating, Black people on just the power of financial literacy and credit and things of that nature. So growing up, whether it was through church or just through Boys and Girls Club, my family was always pretty active within their community and giving to others. So when I came to Atlanta and moved away from Maryland and moved to Atlanta and went to Morehouse, that's in the spirit of being a Morehouse man as well, is to think about community first and think about others, and to strengthen your network and just be a leader, a true leader. And I think true leadership comes with, making sure others are fed and other people have what they need. So it's been like the root of, my studio since we opened 5 years ago, is to make sure that we were a community hub. And, throughout the years, we've just built out our programming to consist of different things. And I think that yesterday's tomorrow is like our haymaker punch that kind of takes everything we do on a monthly basis, packs it into this really big experience, and lets the world get to see everything we do kind of in one breath. But we do things every single month for the community through our studio.
So it wasn't even just something that's happened like the 4 months leading up to MLK Day. This is something, like you say, is 12 months
Oh,
year
yeah.
round.
Yeah, it's in our DNA. I mean, our studio was founded on free studio time. Just that premise alone, we've given away over 10,000 hours of free studio time. And for the community today, no matter who you are, how much money you got, or how much you don't have, you can go on our website right now and utilize our space, our equipment, and our resources for absolutely free. We offer free studio time. We obviously do have certain slots that are for pay, and we're still a for-profit business in that vein, but we've been having free studio time for those who maybe can't afford it since the beginning of our existence. We have a free computer lab room inside of our studio that's absolutely free. Comes equipped with Photoshop and all the creative tools you need, some Mac desktop. So we've always had ways where no matter who you are, we've eliminated barriers of entry and made sure that we can be a community space first and a for-profit business kind of second.
I guess when you think about your legacy and being a Black iconic photographer, especially in the space of hip hop and just in the culture in general over the past couple decades and stuff like that, where does that kind of lay, like, as far as the weight of how you want people to remember Cam Kirk's legacy?
Yeah, I mean, for me, coming up as a Black photographer, specifically here in Atlanta, and there wasn't really a blueprint to do what it is I'm doing. Like, there wasn't like someone I could say, hey, that guy looks like me and is doing exactly what I want to do. You got to think, when I first started in around 2012 was the beginning of like the social media wave, where everything's on the phones, beginning of camera phones, like really good camera phones, where like everyone has ability to kind of take pictures. Instagram was kind of a new thing. Instagram started all photos and filters, and people started to like taking photos. So when I came up, although there were obviously hip hop historians and photographers that came before me, the business model was completely changing. We were moving away from physical CDs. That used to be a big payday for you. You go shoot a physical CD, you go to Target, you can touch your photo work. Now that's online. Magazines were moving to digital. You used to go and shoot a magazine cover and be able to go purchase that and have that live. And now everything is kind of moving online. Your work is kind of just being consumed so quickly. So for me, it's always about establishing what the new blueprint is. And I think that I've done a good job of establishing what a working blueprint is for a photographer in this day and age. And then for me, in order to sustain that blueprint, sustain my legacy, I got to help other people do it too. Because if I'm the only one that did something, then I'm no legend. I'm just a solo individual. I'm a nuance or a lucky guy. So for me, it's like, if I want to prove that to a young Black kid coming up that you can be a successful photographer, I got to help you become that. I got to lay out a blueprint that not only you can follow from afar, but also we have resources and tools that you can utilize. And that's what our studio is about. So if you come work out our studio, you're using the exact same equipment and resources that I use to shoot these covers, these campaigns. It's the same lights, it's the same backdrops, it's the same, square feet of space that I use to do my work. And that's what I talk about, killing that barrier of entry and being like, yo, I've accumulated these resources, but this is for us. And now we can help grow more. So we're now, our studio does, close to 400 appointments a month on any given month. So that's just proven like, okay, there's a thriving industry now of photographers who are able to now make a living off of this, and it becomes a thriving career path. And that just sustains the concept and the idea of what I'm doing. So all of that, all of it ties in. The stuff we do in the community all ties in because I want to be one of those new generation photographers that made it easy for the next and made this photography profession a sustainable profession.
Like what you said there reminded me of Amine has a line saying like you're not really on until all your bros is on. And that's exactly like kind of like that thing that you have right there. And even though you might be from Maryland and everything like that, just coming up from Morehouse and staying in Atlanta and being an Atlanta legend, that's definitely kind of like um a characteristic of the city of like lifting those and helping those around you and everything like that on your way up. I did want to ask you more of some of the basic questions that you get all the time, so I apologize in advance. Top 5 photo shoots
Top
that
five
you've
photo
done.
shoots. Well, that's tough, but I'll go off the top. I had the privilege and honor. I'm gonna loop this all into one. I've had the privilege to work on the Nike Yard Runner campaign, which has been their big global campaign, identifying and highlighting historically Black colleges and HBCUs. So from the inception of the campaign, the year one, I starred in it. So I actually was able to represent Morehouse. And every one since then, we've done 3 to 4 since then. My production team and myself have been able to actually document or capture the actual photos for it. So we call it year 2.5. I was able to photograph Megan Thee Stallion as she graduated at TSU. And I was able to do her like graduation, like a graduation type photo shoot for her with Nike. And that was really special and dope. And then more recently, we just photographed the Yard Runner 3.0 class, which was students come from everywhere from North Carolina A&T to Spelman to Morehouse to Howard to Hampton. They all represented their HBCUs for Nike. Was able to shoot that in LA. So that series and that project is probably up there as my top. Second, I don't know if it's in any order, but I would say I was able to photograph Young Thug for Giuseppe Zanotti. And that was really special because I met Young Thug, 10 years ago when both of us were just really trying to start out, really starting our career. He was a part of Gucci Man's camp, and I was kind of like documenting what was going on there. So we've been able to collaborate over the years, but to like bring that full circle, almost 10 years later, and here we are doing a photo shoot for one of the biggest high fashion designer brands in the world. And it's me and him right back at it. Just that bond, that was pretty special. That was pretty dope. I had another shoot, and this weather right here is really inspiring. It made me to think about it. I had a shoot with the Migos for Rolling Stone magazine a few years ago. And that shoot was special because just like the weather today, we were dealing with a tornado in the middle of our scheduled shoot. So that was a shoot of just resilience for me, where it's like we had a whole plan of where we're going to go, how we're going to do the shoot, and the weather just changed all of it. And it was like you had to pivot really, really quickly to make something happen, like in the moment. And then not to mention, it was the year that the Atlanta Falcons were making their Super Bowl run. So the year we did this shoot is the same time that the NFC Championship game is happening in Atlanta. So I'm trying to pull the Migos away from the TV and like, yo, don't worry about the game. We got to knock this shoot out. So you're dealing with all these factors. It's a storm outside. And I literally had to come up with a photo shoot concept on the spot of the Migos emulating the Beatles with the umbrellas. And I went to a local store, purchased an umbrella. I showed them some references of how the Beatles were taking these photos, where one was holding the umbrella and they were all underneath, or all three of them had an umbrella. So I went and rushed, bought an umbrella, and we went out into the weather just like this in the middle of the rain, and we did the shoot. And now I was just looking at the shoot yesterday. It's in my house, and the person holding the umbrella in the photo that to me became the more iconic one is Takeoff, the late Takeoff. And it's like he's holding this umbrella over Offset and Quavo. And sometimes photos like that can just take on new meaning as life happens. And now looking at it, it's like it's like he's their protector. He's their angel in a certain sense. Now, when you look at the photo, protecting them from the storm, the rain, or whatever is to come. And I think that they look at him as that regard now. So it's funny how life can, change the meaning of a photo for you and give it new meaning. But that's definitely by far one of my favorites. And it's also my favorite because, little known fact, Rolling Stone didn't like that photo and they never printed it. And I was really upset about that. And I was like, how did y'all not pick this photo? Like all the ones I sent y'all, Bad and Bougie was the #1 song in the country. It starts with raindrops. I was like, how do you miss the cultural connection of the Migos in the rain with raindrops falling for Rolling Stone magazine? They didn't select it. It actually never, that particular picture never got featured in the magazine. And like a week after it dropped, I put that picture out myself. So that also made it special, was to see how iconic that picture became literally on the back of me. Like it didn't get the push from the editorial outlet that I thought. So if you saw that picture, you saw it because of my push and the way I made that picture famous. So that was pretty special. So that's 3. I'll say number 4, just the iconic photo of Gucci in the black and white. That picture has just been something that even at the time I didn't think much of it. I thought it was cool. But just to see how that picture still resonates within my career. I remember I was in Milan, Italy for a shoot out there for a Nike project. And the people on set, they recognized me through that image. They were like, you took this is the image. And it's like, wow, like this image reached all the way to Italy and is iconic in America and across the world. And that image was taken with like a $400 camera, really basic setup. It was probably one of the first photos I ever took. I used to only do video because I didn't know how to take photos. I didn't understand like lighting and things of that nature. So the reason why that picture is even black and white, and I'll tell you, I didn't really know how to edit photos. So I just liked the way black and white looked. I was like, you click one button, make it black and white, and it looks like you did something special. And the reason why that image is black and white is really because of that. And just to see like something so early become something that's last, obviously makes that one super duper special. And then
Cam, before you get to number 5, what do you think that says about, I guess, like, you can even say life in a way of like sometimes the most simplistic things
oh yeah,
are the things that, like have the biggest, largest outreach.
100%. And then I feel like my career is led by universe. It's never what I planned to be. It's what so happens, right? So I didn't think much of that moment, and then later down the line, how life panned out through the legacy of him and the things he was able to achieve, and through like Young Thug coming up under him, Migos coming up under him, it added to this icon legacy, which then made that picture even more iconic and just more dynamic. So yeah, it's life, and it happens that way all the time with me. And then number 5, this is tough. Number five for me would probably be, I'll keep it kind of recent, was probably photo shoot work I just did with Lil Baby for Budweiser in the World Cup. Again, another one of those like full circle moments of seeing an artist kind of blow up in front of your eyes, and you're like, wow, like I remember when you used to hang around and you wasn't even making music, and then now it's like here we are together photographing for Budweiser and the biggest event in sports. So and then a fun story with Lil Baby. When I first heard Lil Baby, he had the song My Dog very, very early. I probably was like the first day it was premiering. I don't know. I watched it on World Star Hip Hop. I literally that day reached out to like P and was like, I will pay him to photo shoot him. Like, y'all, I'm not asking y'all for money. I want to pay Lil Baby to come to my studio to photograph him, because it was something about where I saw his swag and his energy in that video that I was like, he's a superstar. Like something about him, he's gonna blow. And I remember I reached out to P and I was like, I want to pay him, just bring him to my studio. I just need the time. And we actually never got to work that day. The day he's supposed to show up, he got a conflict, and he was even trying to give me money for wasting my time. And we never connected that day. So then we eventually ended up connecting later on. But just to see like my intuition was right. Like this is another superstar. I was on it early, and then now for us to still be connecting at the peak of our careers or at the height of our careers is really dope.
Man, that's crazy. I wanted to ask you, I guess, like kind of even going alongside of that with working in hip hop, and so closely, like it's one thing for for fans, but for the people who work closely to a lot of these stars and everything and are immersed in the culture themselves, like how do you handle these hits? How do you handle when a Dolph happens and then a couple months later, then you have Trouble, then you have Key, then you have Teg, then you have the situation with Doug, these guys that you were so kind of closely connected with, and you documented these pieces of history, and now it takes on a new meaning a few months later. Like how do you kind of deal with that, and where do you go to kind of I guess keep your mental sane and everything and keep pushing and keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, like I've actually never really spoke on that publicly, but it's a really, really tough thing. I like to tell people like photography is a very personal thing. Like it's a connection that's built when you're documenting or photographing someone. It's in a sense you're photographing someone's essence, their soul, their energy, and you're taking all of that energy, in. So I've had collaborators that, we don't talk every day. We don't even speak every day, may not even hit you on your birthday. But when we see each other, even to this day, it's an embrace, it's a hug, it's a love you. Like, I've said love you to so many rappers, and I'll be like, I don't even talk to you more than I talk to friends. Like, but it's something there, and it's genuine and it's true. And those guys you mentioned, I've had that bond with, majority of them, or have had a deep connection to. And there's no industry, there's no place you can work at where your employees or your collaborators are dying at that rate. It's alarming, and it's scary. To be quite honest, it's one of the reasons why, if you've been following my career, you might have been seeing me two toes in on music. Everything I was doing was like music. I was in the studio, I was in his rooms, I was on tour. And then if you've been following for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been more like Cam Kirk Studios, Cam Kirk Foundation. Yes, I tap in, I work, but I'm not in it 2 feet like I used to be. And a lot of it is because of that. To be as transparent and honest as possible, it's tough. It's a lot of weight, you know what I mean? And then when these moments happen, to see your work be used as the vessel, although it's like it's special, but it's just a constant reminder of like that moment, and it's a lot. So so many losses in this industry, and I just hope that something changes. You know what I mean? I hope that even what I'm doing, it changes the environment, or at least it adds some more awareness. Like if the work we're doing in the community can inspire that there are more positive things we can do with our following, more positive things we can do with our impact, and hopefully that inspires more people. I know I preach it to photographers all the time about just your responsibility on what you're documenting. Like we play a role in it too. We play a role in what goes out and what the world sees from certain individuals. Like as much as I love the impact of the image of Gucci, I always have mixed feelings about it because of what it represents. And then you have to think about that. So I think when in our work, you have the ability to document, either way you want to do it. You can document the dark side of things or some of the vices, or you can focus on smiles and positivity. And that was one thing I always loved about my catalog of Gucci images as a whole. Yeah, you had that one, but you also had a lot of him just being a man, lifestyle, pictures of him with kids or smiles on his face. And you also have another side of it as well. And I think that that's important. So I do preach that to a lot of up and coming photographers. Like it's cool to catch them in their element with the drugs or the gun. I get it. That's what the world wants to see. That's sometimes what makes them cool. And I get how easy it is to get that shot. But, if you want to show him smoking, why not wait till he puts the blunt down and it's just the smoke? Now it's more metaphorical. You can do more like you don't have to directly show everything they're doing. You can document it differently. So, but it's tough to answer your question. So
Well, first, Cam, we appreciate you for opening up about that for the first time. Like you say, I know it's a vulnerable and touchy topic. So thank you first. We're praying for you and your mental and everything like that. Once again, the reason why we're even doing this interview is to give you your flowers for the positive things that you are doing in the community as a Black man to make a change and doing your part to make a change. So thank you for that. Yes, sir. And then I guess, like I said, in the essence of time, wrapping up, I do want to kind of follow up on that. With 21, a few months ago, he was talking about this, and he was saying how he didn't really promote violence in his music. He's saying like he's just telling his life story, and his music doesn't have an effect on the white people. Like the random white people that listen to his music, like they just listen to his music as entertainment. Like it's nothing different. And he said if he did rap about the turkey drives and all the positive things he's doing, no one would care because it would be corny. And Lil Yachty kind of echoed the same type of things and stuff like that. So I guess, what do you feel, like you said, as photographers to point out the positive images? You have all these images of Gucci smiling post 2016, the new Gucci, and and those aren't the ones that you're known for. You're known for the fat Gucci with and blah blah blah. So I guess I just want to ask you about that. Do you think like you can pull with the positive?
yeah, I think 21 is a great example, in my opinion, of someone that maybe started out one way and has slowly evolved and shown the world, other positive sides of him, right? When you might have first heard, Red Ops or some of his other songs, you might have assumed he was going one way, right? And then he was able to evolve and pivot and bring his crowd all the way to A Lot, a song like A Lot that was impacting the world, or he was able to be a voice for immigration laws and certain things. So, and then, the amount of give backs that he does, it's important. So my thing is, I just think that you have to find creative ways to speak to them. Like, I know for me, for instance, Yesterday's Tomorrow is rooted in what you want. Like, I know what they want. You want to meet this person, that person, that person. So I'm gonna bring you them. But in exchange for that, go do something for the community, right? Like, you find creative ways to do both. I'll give you a little bit of hip hop and a little bit of the flair culture. We're going to do it in a culturally tasteful way. And I think that sometimes people assume community service has to be boring or has to be just your standard. Like, why can't we do a turkey drive that's mixed with a concert, that's mixed with this or that? Like, it doesn't have to always be one which way to use your influence for positive. And I think people like 21 have done a great job of that. Lil Baby and stuff that he does for his community have done a great job of that. You combining cool with something really cool with the give back. Lil Baby renovated a basketball court in his neighborhood, and that's cool. Like, if you like sports, you go to a sport, it's a court with a 4PF logo on it, and that's dope. You know what I mean? But at the same time, that's really impactful for his neighborhood to be able to have something safe and positive to do with their time. So I'm more along those lines of what I do. We do a lot of community work, but it's nothing that's going to be the standard, community stuff. We're going to add a flair of fun, or add a flair of cool, add a flair of culture to it that allows you to do it. So I think that what they're saying is not wrong. I think that it's the truth. But I think that we have responsibility to balance it out. If we understand that that's the thing that attracts them, what do you do when you have their attention? And like, what are you going to do now? And I think, like I said, hats off to 21 and those artists who, Yachty as well, who they might get your attention this way, but they don't keep you over here. And if everybody don't go over here, cool. But they try their best to like still show you their positive things to do. Even 21 with his financial literacy programs he was doing off a bank account. Like, you take that, yes, and you bring it over here as best you can. And I have a lot of respect for artists that do that, because that's what I'm doing. If you found out about me through Gucci with the gun, that picture is still in my studio, but it's in a studio that gives back to the community. It's in a studio that offers free studio times, in a studio that is about to house this conference, and I don't plan to necessarily take it off the wall. It is what it is. It's a part of what it is. But look at all the things that we can do if you were just attracted to that image, now you're going to get exposed to all these other positive things.
Right, right. It's crazy. We're wrapping up. Final question, but it's crazy thinking about Yachty. You know, like the first time you photographed him with the red beads and everything, and he's like, you know, candy pizza all the time, and now like seeing him grow into the man he is and the father he is. Like it's just, I don't know. It's beautiful to see hip
Beautiful.
hop grow up. Like it's just I love it. I love. But I want to ask you, you know, final thing. For the people who are reading this or watching this after MLK Day, how can they continue to, you know, pitch in, to volunteer? Maybe if they're in Atlanta, say the weekend that you guys are helping out for the month of February or March, where can they get more information and tap in with Cam Kirk Foundation?
No doubt. So the Cam Kirk Foundation, to get in tune with us, like I said, we do things on a pretty much a monthly basis. Monthly, we have a free workshop program that is taught directly by our staff and by some outside resources. So the education never stops. It's absolutely free. You can, if you're physically here in Atlanta, you can tap into some of these courses. We're also going to have them live stream. So if you're not able to visit or you're not here in Atlanta, and you can watch them live stream and pick up gems and learn. We also do community cleanups that we do once a quarter, where we go out and just clean up our neighborhood and do a lot of work like that. So if you ever want to get in tune with what we're doing, camkirkstudios.com is the best place to really find out all the things we do in the community and all the ways that we can together help improve the livelihood and our surroundings. So camkirkstudios.com is the best way to stay in tune with us.
Cam Kirk, everybody, when you're talking about Creator Studio, when you're talking about community builders, when you're talking about community leaders, we thank you and we salute you once again from Rolling Out. I'm Rashad Milligan. Take care of yourselves.